Our dear friend Ray Hadley had an absolute thumping interview, went for about half an hour with each way Albo, and Albo would have been hoping that COVID meant that he could have hung up halfway through it, because he got him and he got him good. First one, of course, about carbon taxes, because of course they're about to introduce one, and this will be just as bad for him as it was for Gillard.
We will have no carbon tax.
Let's just make sure there'll be no carbon tax under any government I'll lead ever.
There will be no carbon tax ever.
And when it comes to how it's going to work, when it comes to boats, he's, of course, clueless.
What visa will you give these people? What visa, Anthony?
We won't give them a visa.
What, you're going to take them straight from the vessel onto another vessel and take them to Nauru, are you?
They will not be allowed to settle in Australia.
But how are you going to achieve that?
They won't be in the same way that the government does.
You'll have to give them a bridging visa.
It's not right. The same policy that exists now, Operation Sovereign Borders, will apply under us.
No, it won't, because you don't have temporary protection visas.
Yes, it will.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will.
Ray joins us now. Great man. Congrats on the chat. He's got no idea. He knows slogans. He knows bumper stickers. It's a bit like somebody saying, you know the best way to win Bathurst? Go faster, but not actually understanding anything of how it works.
Well, he's not the only one. The person who would be Home Affairs Minister and Immigration Minister, Christina Keneally, took to me on social media after that interview saying I didn't understand what TPVs were. I'm afraid I lived through the last TPV episode. Now, he made the point in that interview that there have been no TPVs issued since 2013. Paul, there's a very good reason for that. No one's come. No one's come because Abbott, Morrison and Jim Molan put together Operation Sovereign Borders. It's got three prongs to it. Turn back the boats when they're safe to do so, temporary protection visas, and of course offshore processing. You take one of the three out, you've got a mess. Now, the problem he's got there, in 2013, after they put offshore processing in place in August of 2012, that's the Labor government, we had 20,000 people come. 20,000 people. Now, the way they're going to operate, if we get another 20,000 people in 2023 or 2024, if they're in government, I mean, they'll need to get onto Royal Caribbean cruises because we don't have enough vessels in the Border Force or the Royal Australian Navy to bring all those people straight to Nauru. Now, the other problem is they disable the engines. They're economic refugees. They've got plenty of cash. They paid some Indonesian people smuggler or Sri Lankan people smuggler thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Then they feign illness. They say, oh, can't go to Nauru, I've got a pain in the tummy. Well, we have an obligation to make sure we can medically repatriate them. You can't take them straight to Nauru. As soon as they step foot on Australian soil without a temporary protection visa, they've got to get some sort of visa. They can't just stay here and be visaless. So the Labor Party don't understand why in 2012 we got 17,000 people, why in we got 20,000 in 2013. We got that, and then we got, I think, 60 in 2014, and none since. That's why this government doesn't need temporary protection visas at the moment, because no one came. But as soon as they win government, if in fact they do, at the end of May, the people smugglers, both in Sri Lanka and also Indonesia, will be doing handstands. They say, we're open for business, Labor's back, jump on the boat, here you come, give us 10,000, 20,000 US, off you go, and they can't stop you coming here because they've got this inane system of picking up you on a boat and taking it in a route. Now, just one final thing, I'll talk about that. In relation to that, I've checked. Boat after, you think about how many boats brought 20,000 people. Does Anthony Albanese actually think we have the resources on a daily and weekly basis to have our vessels, our naval vessels, Border Force vessels, somewhere off the northwestern coast of Australia, intercepting boats and then taking them to Nauru? By the time they get to Nauru, they could go quicker to Tokyo, by the way. By the time they get to Nauru and get back, there'll be another 30 boats waiting for them. I mean, it's just insane. On this case alone, they shouldn't win the election, but they probably will.
Well, and that's what I find frightening, because I think that, I don't think there's a grand conspiracy, but I think that the media is so disinterested in the detail, and they know, keep the PM on the defence and then things go better for Labor. They don't want to push them on the detail. They're bad on the detail. I mean, I literally pointed out, as you heard at the start of the show, they claim, we're going to save $5 billion. A couple of $1 billion of that is going to be taxes. But then their plans off their own, the people who are sitting in the room are supposed to remember what they announced a year ago, 2 years ago, but they never push them. The 6 p.m. news doesn't point out the inconsistencies about carbon tax. It's all just about, Solomon Islands all day, every day for 6 days because it's bad for the Prime Minister.